Senator Nelda, will you please present your report?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in line with the constitutional duty and responsibility of the legislature to protect the civil liberties and constitutional rights of citizens against any form of injustice, the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, at its plenary session on Thursday, 6 July 2023, received a petition from Dr. Uba Anichebe and 3 others on behalf of Eke Progressive Forum on the alleged unwarranted killings and attack on Eke neighborhood. Neighborhood Watch was some personnel of the Nigerian Army in Eke community, Ede local government area, Enugu State. The petition was laid on the floor of the Senate by distinguished Senator Ugu Osita, Enugu West Senatorial District of Enugu State, in pursuant of Order 40, Rule 1 and 2 of the Standing Orders of the Senate, 2023 as amended. Accordingly, pursuant to Order 40, Rule 3 of the Standing Order of the Senate, 2023 as amended, the Standing Order of the Senate, petition was referred to the Standing Order of the Senate, petition was referred to the Standing Order of the Senate for detailed hearing and further legislative action. The petition was referred to the committee via the Senate votes and proceedings of Thursday, 6 July 2023. Legislative action. The petition was referred to the committee via the Senate vote. Consequent upon the Senate resolution and referral, the committee met, reviewed the petition, considered its mandate, and resolved that in addressing the issues contained in the petition, it will consider the provisions of the following statutory instruments, documents, and general principles necessary for arriving at appropriate recommendations to the Senate. 1. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate Standing Orders, Army of Forces Act Cap A20 LFN 2004, the National Defense Policy, General Principle of Justice, Fairness, and Equity. The committee further resolved to invite the following parties to a public hearing on the matter with a view to unearth the truth, determine the veracity of the claims, and arrive at appropriate recommendation to the Senate. The petitioner, Dr. Uba Anichebe, on behalf of Eke Progressive Forum, and the respondent, Nigerian Army. The 2 parties appeared before the committee on Tuesday, 21st November 2023 and Tuesday, 20th February 2024. Accordingly, the committee concluded...
Senator Nelda, could you please summarize it so that maybe
Yes,
you abridge the report? Then we can go to recommendations. Huh?
Yes. The committee conducted hearing on the petition on Tuesday, 20th February 2024. Testimonies and submissions were received, and the petitioners and the respondents were both heard. We are both heard on the matter. The observation. The Eke Neighborhood Guards is a vigilante organization established by Eke Neighborhood Forum and registered under the Enugu State Neighborhood Association and Watch Law of 2006 to complement the efforts of the Nigerian Army, its sisters agencies, and other paramilitary agencies in combating the security challenges around Eke community in Udi local government area of Enugu State. 2. That even though across the globe military aid to civilian authorities in time of need is a legal non-called duty of the armed forces in Nigeria, the practice is fraught with several challenges, mainly human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings. 3. The lack of synergy, coordination, and communication between the troops, the neighborhood watch, and the police, which led to the untimely death of the 2 victims, is highly regrettable. 4. The traffic gridlock around AMA breweries caused by the vehicles that stopped along the road in order not to run into the armed robbers made it impossible for the Eke Neighborhood Watch to arrive at the crime scene with their patrol vehicle, whereby making their proper identification by the soldiers very difficult, if not impossible. 5. that the timely arrival and intervention of the Nigerian police, who identified the victims, prevented further escalation of the ugly incident. 6. That prior to the incident of 29 June 2023, the Army, the police, and the Ekenbo Watch had a cordial relationship and shared information. However, they failed to properly communicate about the armed robbery incident of June 29 of 2023. Our recommendations. In view of the observations and findings above, the committee hereby recommend as follows. 1. That the Senate do direct the Nigerian Army to pay a condolence visit to Eke community in Udi local government area, Enugu State, to condole with the families of the deceased, sympathize with the injured, and pay some compensation. 2. That the Senate do direct the Nigerian Armed Forces discharging non-court duty in aid of civil authorities to always ensure that they educate the civilian population about their rules of engagement, modes of operation, and the importance of information sharing. 3. That the Senate do direct the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police Force, and the other paramilitary organizations to always ensure that they place high premium on interagency cooperation and collaboration as a means of achieving the target objectives of the Nigerian defense policy. 4. That the Senate do commend the Chief of Army Staff, for responding to the invitation of the committee and for the quick resolution of the matter. That is 5. That the Senate do direct its committee on compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate in this matter is complied with. Conclusion. Your Excellency, colleagues, federal legislatures connect people to their government by giving them a place where their needs can be articulated and their complaint heard and resolved accordingly. In Parliament across the globe, protection of civil liberties and constitutional rights of citizens against all forms of injustice are among the most important vehicles for the manifestation of the representative role of legislature. Finally, on behalf of the committee, I wish to express our profound gratitude to His Excellency the President of the Senate and my distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given to us to serve Nigerians in this capacity. I so submit for consideration.
Does anyone want to comment on this, or is it very straightforward? Okay, Senator, the Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ostan Enugu West. Mr. President, I actually was the one who laid this petition. And clearly, the community in Eke, in the local government of Enugu West, has been waiting anxiously to see the report of this committee, so that the dead can finally rest in peace and they will bring justice and a closure to this matter. Mr. President, from the conclusion, I can say that I'm satisfied, and I want to appreciate the efforts of the committee who conducted this very tedious investigation. I think if the recommendation is fully implemented, we can say that justice is served. Thank you, Mr. President.
So let's now go to the recommendation. That the Senate do direct the Nigerian Army to pay a condolence visit to AK community in the Udi local government area, Enugu State, to condole with the families of the deceased, sympathize with the injured, and pay some compensation. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate do direct the Nigerian Armed Forces discharging non-court duty in aid of civil authorities to always ensure that they educate the civilian population about their rules of engagement, modes of operation, and the importance of information sharing. Those in favor of this recommendation, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. That the Senate do direct the Nigerian Armed Forces, the Nigerian Police Force, and other paramilitary organizations to always ensure that they place high premium on interagency cooperation and collaboration as a means of achieving the target objectives of the national defense policy. Those in favor of this recommendation, please say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. That the Senate do commend the Chief of Army Staff for responding to the invitation of the committee and for the quick resolution of the matter. Those in favor of this recommendation, please say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. That the Senate do direct its committee on compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate in this matter is complied with. Is it not good to also add the Committee on Army? Mr. Nelda? Committee on Army should be added as well, right?
Very well, Mr. President.
Someone to move the motion. Are you moving the motion by... Okay, Senator Victor Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Victor Ume. I rise to move the motion that the Senate Committee on Army be also directed along with the Committee on Compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate in this matter is complied with. I so move.
Senator Benson Agadaga, you may wish to second the motion. I will not call you Adler because you are the amendment is targeted at you, so it's your purview. So Agadaga, you can second the motion.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Benson Sonda Agadaga is my name. I rise to support the motion as moved by distinguished Senator Victor May. Thank you, Mr. President.
Those in favor of the motion for the amendment of this recommendation as moved by Senator Victor Ome and seconded by Senator Benson Agadaga, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Nelda, Chairman, Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions, and the members of your committee for a job well done. You have done very well to resolve this matter, and I think this matter should now put to its final rest. Thank you very much. You've done a wonderful job. More grace to your elbows. Continue to do this for the interest of the Senate and the entire country. Well, thank you very much. The President of the Senate, the Leader of the Senate, sorry. The Senate Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Kalu Oji Uzo on call on the federal government to urgently make emergency provisions for victims of flooding in some communities in Abia North Senatorial District of Abia State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite His Excellency Senator Kalu Oji Uzo to move the motion.
Let me call on the former governor of Abia State and Chief Whip Emeritus, Chief Whip of the Federation Emeritus, to move his motion. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Oji Ozokalo. I stand to move the motion on the federal government to urgently make emergency provisions for the victims of flooding in some communities in Abia North. The Senate notes that the recent perennial downpour in some communities of Abia State, North Senatorial District of Abia State, caused severe damages to the affected communities. Also note that the ugly occurrence, which came with lightning and thunder, was so severe and devastating that some precious lives were lost in the flood. Critically connecting roads were completely cut off, making movement between communities impossible. Farmlands were washed away, destroyed, and attendant losses of crops and livestock amounting to several millions of naira. Aware that some houses lost their roof, while others with weak foundation collapsed, and occupants display alongside with their helpless families. Worst hit were Okoko Item Primary School, Okbose Primary School in Igbere, radio station and a university structure, and many other houses in Bende local government. Observe that social economic activities have been brought to a near halt as a result of this disaster in communities like Igbere, Item, Ezuku Road, which was divided into parts. Ezuku River, Mkporo, Umuhu, Abriba, Okono, Ahafia, Abam, Ihechowa, and other adjoining communities in all Bende and Ohafia local government and Aruchuku local government areas. Concerned that the situation caused by this flooding linked to climate change have left affected citizens of the district in pitiable situation. Worried that with the destruction of certain infrastructure affected, resident majority who are rural dwellers, artisans, and farmers are presently facing existence without basic necessity of life. Most worried that if no emergency response is provided for the victims, the desolated society will be worse for it and the incredible number of casualties may be recorded. Resolved that observe a 1 minute silence in honor of those who lost their life previously in the unfortunate flooding incident in Abia North Senatorial District, or the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and National Emergency Management Agency to urgently make emergency provision available to cushion the effects of those victims affected in the communities in Abia North Senatorial District, or the Federal Ministry of Housing and Works, Development and Power to rehabilitate some of the collapsed homes and roads and electrical installation within the affected area. Fourth, all the Ecological Fund Department, Office of Secretary to Government of Federation, and the Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management Agents to urgently assess the extent of damage caused in view of providing some measures of rebuilding the damaged environment created by this ugly incident. Mandate the Senate Legislative Compliance and Environment to ensure compliance and revert back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Mr. President, I so submit. I urge my colleagues and to support this motion because the people are in dire need of these areas of the Abia North Senatorial District. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief Emeritus. I was just waiting for you to finish. Okay. You can go ahead, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Austin Akobundu, representing the good people of Abia Senatorial District. I rise to support the motion ably moved by my former governor and Chief Whip Emeritus, distinguished Senator Oji Ozo Kanu. And in doing that, I want to confirm that I'm very conversant not only with the area, but the magnitude of the devastation caused by the storm. This has rendered the people involved so helpless, homeless, and there is urgent need for intervention at quick impact level, intermediary and long term, because the roads were washed away, houses were broken, and most of them are rendered homeless. So I support the motion by advising and suggesting at the same time that the federal government intervenes promptly. I so support.
Let me recognize the most loyal deputy governor ever present in Abia State, and Chief Minority Whip Emeritus. I'm sorry, Minority Leader Emeritus. Just like the Chief Whip Emeritus, Minority Leader Emeritus to say his contribution. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ene Baribe, and the people that were referred to by my former governor are also my people as a deputy governor. That means that everything that he has said, I concur with it. And therefore, urge my colleagues to please support this very wonderful motion. I so support.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader Emeritus. You have once again demonstrated your loyalty to your former principal. So thank you very much, Senator Abaribi. Senator Sita, you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Isnaso. I represent Imo West. Let me join the former governor of Abia and his ever loyal deputy governor. Abaribe told me that he's always loyal to Oji. Very loyal. Now, this motion came last week as a point of order, and it was referred to today. Mr. President, there's nothing to add. Erosion is about taking over the entire Southeast. In my senatorial zone of Idato North, Idato South, Olu local government, Njaba, erosion have taken over everything. This flooding of 2024 is a major issue because last year we had flooding in this country and we were advised that this year is going to be worst. But I thought maybe some remedial jobs ought to have been done in some of these areas. But as of today, nothing is done. Mr. President, I'm supporting this motion wholeheartedly. But when we come to the prayers, I'm going to add these very devastating areas of my senatorial zone so they can be a holistic prayer. I thank you, Mr. President.
I think, okay, you can contribute.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to sincerely thank the mover of this motion. And I'm totally in support of all that he has said. Having said that, Your Excellency, whenever flood and its attendant issues are mentioned, it dawned on me by way of where I come from. Just as the eastern part is so disturbed with floods, the Niger Delta has been a flood victim, particularly my state and my constituency has also suffered so much about floods. But most of the times, and year after year, these motions are moved. Even before we came or before we come here, motions have been moved. And government after government have made promises here and there. But not much is seen. My worry and wonder is that after this bill, these eloquent speeches are made, what will come after this motion? It's my worry. Because if the functionalities, the operatives, that is the executive arm, is not responding adequately to the motions that we move, we will just be talking and the public will just be listening and we talk jargons. And that is not very good at all. And so, Mr. President, I thought administration is supposed to identify problems and finding means to solving those problems. That is what administration stands for. But we are seeing it in the other form. Although, by your explanations, and by your callings and by your manifestos, there is a renewed hope. And that is why I'm even standing up to talk that with this renewed hope, I believe, Mr. President, things will be done better. Because the people of Bisani are asking me, now, where are we going to after now? The people of Yenagwa are asking me, when the flood eventually take over everywhere, what shall we do? And that is why I have to stand up to ask this question. Are you prepared, please, Mr. President, and our country to respond to the needs of our people who are suffering? Because the people of Bisani are supposed to be taking away that environment before the flood starts. People have started packing. And that is the worry we have year after year. And so I want to thank my leader who brought this motion, and for me to bring what is happening in my area also to join whatever has been said here. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. We go to the prayers, but before that, I want to assure Senator Benson that much is now being done to alleviate all these kind of happenings in the entire south or in southern part of the country. The government is doing very well. The coastal road is being constructed, and several other projects. The coastal road is a legacy project that has never been done in this country. Something very, very big, and several others are coming. This is just 1 year of the administration. The Renewed Hope is working, and it will get to the root of what you're asking about. Just continue to cooperate with the government. Everything will be okay. As an opposition senator, cooperate with us. A lot will come, and things will change for the better by the grace of God. We'll go to the prayers. Prayer 1, observe a minute silence in honor of those who lost their previous lives in the unfortunate flooding incident in Abia North Central District. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Call on the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and National Emergency Management Agency to urgently make emergency provision available to cushion the effects on victims of the affected communities in Abia North Central District. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Urge the federal ministries of housing and urban development and power to rehabilitate some of the collapsed homes, roads, and electric installations within the affected areas. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Also, urge the Ecological Fund Department of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management to urgently assess the extent of damages and erosion size of the areas with a view to providing some measures of rebuilding the damaged environment created by these ugly incidents. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Mandate the committees on legislative compliance and environment to ensure compliance and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Let me...
Additional prayer.
Additional prayer. Senator Sita.
Thank you, Mr. President. My additional prayer is that we urge the Ecology Fund Department of the Office of the Secretary to Government of the Federation to urgently look at the situation in Idato North, Idato South, and all local governments of Imo State. Thank you, Mr. President.
You want to dilute this motion?
No, it's not contained in the body of the motion. That's why I have to add it through additional prayer. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. I'm sure you have already taken note of my My people
Okay, a seconder, please. Seconder, no seconder. Who is a second? Is there a seconder? Bitome. Okay, second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me rise to support my brother, Senator Steve Nassau, that his additional prayer that the areas of Olu and Idato be added on the areas to be covered by this intervention. I so support.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, is it?
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President.
Is it extension time? No, let's put the question first.
It's on this.
Is it additional prayer?
I want amendment to.
No, it's a motion
3.
already. We have to pass it before you. We have to put the question. It has been moved and seconded. Let's put the question, then you raise another one. Those in favor of the motion for additional prayers moved by Senator Sita and seconded by Senator Victor, may please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Deputy Leader.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, I want to put an amendment to prayer 3 because it's not in the purview of Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to repair homes. They are policymakers. And I will probably say that we'll replace it with NEMA.
Deputy Leader, Deputy Leader, is belated. We have passed that. The prayer has been accepted by the Senate. That ought to have come, before the something. So we passed that, except if you can come to the substantive motion. It's the Deputy Leader of the Senate, but it's just it's guidance. I've got it. So thank you, Chief Whip Emeritus, for this wonderful motion. The Senate is always alive to its responsibility of making sure that every part of this country is taken care of in terms of infrastructure, in terms of amenities, to deal with anything that may create hindrance to its peaceful existence. We have once again demonstrated that we're alive to our duties, and based on the contributions made by several senators, it shows that your motion is very much welcomed, and it has really further demonstrated that we're always ready to make sure that everything is done to create that enablement for our country to be in the best mode, where our citizens will be happy, things will be okay for them, and so on and so forth. And to assure those who think that government should do something, that government is doing something already. The coastal road that is being constructed that moves from the southwest of this country to the south part of this country is testimony to the readiness of government to deal with all the issues to deal with infrastructure. And this is a tip of the iceberg. A lot, are in the pipeline, in line with the federal government program, the president's program, who is has a political will to turn around for the better in this country. So let's cooperate with the government. Let's support the government, because the government, as I said earlier, has a lot in its program to better the lives of the people of this country. The Leader of the Senate. We'll go to the 1 minute silence, please. 1 minute silence. Those who lost their lives in the unfortunate flooding incident in Abia North, that their soul rest in perfect peace. The Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the fifth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Fashui Cyril Oluwole on the urgent need to provide palliative support for Ipao, Itakpaji, and Okeako communities in Ikole local government area of Ekiti State. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Fashui Cyril Oluwole to move the motion.
Senator Cyril Oluwole Faseyi, the floor is yielded to you to present your motion.
Distinguished Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I rise this afternoon to move a motion titled Urgent Need to Provide Palliative Support for Ipao, Itapaji, and the Okeako communities in the Ikole local government area of Ekiti State. My name is Cyril Fashui. The Senate notes with concern that on the 2nd of June 2024, a violent windstorm and heavy rainfall affected Ipao, Itapaji, and Okeako towns in the Ikole local government area of Ekiti State, leading to the destruction of houses, farmlands, schools, property, foodstuffs, shelter, and other valuables. Also notes that another devastating storm occurred on the 6th June 2024, which put the same towns in the Ekiti North Senatorial District into serious distress. Aware that the windstorm has further resulted in the displacement of people and families from their ancestral homes. The Senate also aware that essential infrastructure, farmlands, and livestock in these communities have been utterly wrecked by the effects of the windstorm. The Senate is concerned that the inhabitants of Ipao, Itapaji, and Okeako towns right now are living in untold hardship, suffering and apprehensive about their future amidst this recurring disaster. Regrets that government agencies have failed to give warnings and advance information to prevent and control imminent disasters on the communities, which has continued to sustain constant fear and lack of knowledge on preparedness by rural communities across the country. The Senate observes that so far, no agency of state or federal government has come to the assistance of the victims of these natural disasters. Equally aware that the victims are currently living in very deplorable conditions, having been dispersed into some neighboring villages and are squatting with friends and relatives with little or nothing to cater for the needs of their families. Considers that these agrarian towns are the major producer of food in the senatorial districts, but the present situation may worsen food security throughout the district. Convinced that if urgent assistance is not provided, the victim will remain homeless and hungry, and in such situation will have serious adverse effects on their health and livelihood with that of other people living around them. Accordingly, resolves to 1. Urge the federal government through its Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to send relief packages, most especially food items, building materials, farm tools, and other essential equipment to enable the affected people of Ipao, Itapaji, and Okeako towns feed, rebuild their homes, and alleviate their pains in view of the impending rain season. Secondly, mandate the committees on environment and legislative compliance to ensure strict compliance with this resolution and report within 4 weeks. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move. Thank you.
Any Senator Dafinoni.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ide Dafinone, representing Delta Central. I rise to second the motion raised by distinguished Senator Fashi, and in doing so, sir, I wish to draw attention to the paragraph where he states that he regrets that government agencies have failed to give warnings and advance information to prevent and control imminent disasters on the communities, which has continued to sustain constant fear and lack of knowledge on preparedness by the rural communities across the country. Mr. President, sir, knowing of impending flooding that has been announced by NIMET some months ago, I took it upon myself to write to them to ask for the following: weather forecasts and predictions relating to Delta Central, my constituency, historical data on flooding incidents in the region, including severity, impact, and duration. 3, recommendations and strategies for flood preparedness. Mr. President, sir, I was to receive a reply from NIMET asking me to pay the sum of 3 million naira in order to get that information. I want to suggest here, sir, that when we get to the prayers, that an additional prayer should be raised to reflect that NIMET should be required to make all flood warnings available to the public and then specifically to state governments so that they can adequately prepare the potential victims of flooding. We cannot be receiving floods in the same area year after year and not having warnings given to those individuals living in those areas. So I take this opportunity, sir, to second the motion raised by distinguished Senator Fashi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. In the absence of a further contribution, because the motion is straightforward, I think we can go to prayers. Senator Jewel, you have the floor. Your last contributor, so that we can move to the prayer, because it's a very straightforward motion. 2 minutes.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Joel Honorable Thomas. I represent the great people of Delta South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to thank you for giving me another opportunity to speak after I failed to take advantage and the opportunity you gave to me to shine at the first instance. I've been properly briefed on that. Now, on this subject matter, Mr. President, I want to say that the issue of flooding has become, rainstorm damage and flooding has become a perennial disaster. And I also think that government agencies, like my colleagues, Senator Ede Dafinone just said, must be proactive and be up to date in providing the needed information for people to get prepared for rain coming their way. The second thing too is that not only getting the people ready, knowing when the rain is going to fall, and preparing for the disaster that will occur thereafter is also very, very important. We shouldn't be waiting and coming here to be reading a motion compelling agencies of government to now go and attend to those people whose properties have been destroyed in their places. For example, my senatorial district, Delta South Senatorial District, is prone to these rainstorms, damages, and the rest of disasters. And I think that it is time
to call government agencies to live up to their expectation at all times. I therefore support this motion, which is on the ground, and I urge all my colleagues to support it. Thank you, Mr. President.
We go to the prayers. All the federal prayer one, all the federal government through its Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to send relief packages, most especially food items, building materials, farm tools, and other essential equipment to enable the affected people of Ipao, Itapaji, Ekiti, and Ako towns. Ako town, there's no Ekiti in front because in Ekiti, every town has Ekiti in front. You didn't put Ekiti there. Okay. Ekiti towns feed, rebuild their homes, and alleviate their pains in view of the impending rain season. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Mandate the committees on environment and legislative compliance to ensure strict compliance with this resolution and report within 4 weeks. Those in favor of the prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Senator Cyril. Additional prayer? Go ahead. Senator Dafinone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Ide Dafinone representing Delta Central. In line with my earlier presentation, sir, I wish to propose a third prayer to mandate NIMET to, as a matter of good practice, make flooding predictions available to the general public and specifically to the appropriate agencies in the states.
A seconder, please. Senator Musa Medoki.
The Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Garba Musa Medoki, representing Kebbi South Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Ide Dafinone. I so second.
Those in favor of additional prayers moved by Senator Ide Dafinone and seconded by Senator Garba Musa Medoki, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Cyril, for bringing forward this motion. It shows your concern for your people. It shows that you're a good senator representing your people in the best manner possible. This is very good, and one resolution adhered to and implemented, I'm sure the necessary succor will be brought to bear on your people. And also commend those who made contributions. And I also agree that relevant agencies like NIMET should be up to their duties by giving warnings, earlier warnings to authorities, local governments and state governments to draw the attention of their people about impending windstorm or rainfall, heavy rainfall that may likely occur, so that everybody will be prepared to deal with the situation. And that's why I've been calling that. Anyway, the local governments now, they are not really active. That's why we are calling for local governments, even the wards, to be very active, because you can, when you have this information, it's not passed through the necessary channels to the people, then it won't be effective. The wards should be up to their duties. The local governments should be up to their duties. State governments, once they have the information from NIMET should not wait for anybody to ask them for such information. They should provide information to state governments. Thereafter, state governments should now channel the information to local governments and up to the world level, to all areas of every local government, to chapters, if you like, polling units, so that everybody will be put in the know as to the impending catastrophe that may occur, and the people get prepared to deal with the situation. So we thank everyone for contributing to this motion, and we hope the matter will be dealt with more appropriately in the future based on the debate and the resolution that have been so far made in respect of this motion. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, the 3rd day of July 2024 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the Senate adjourns plenary now to resume on Wednesday, that is tomorrow, at 11 a.m. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion that this August Senate stand adjourned to tomorrow by 11, being Wednesday, the 3rd day of July 2024, please say aye. Those against say nay. Let me put the question again. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate stands adjourned to tomorrow, Wednesday, the 3rd day of this month by 11 a.m. prompt. This way, go.
No signal.
No signal. No, and they are this now. They off it now. It's not our. They are. I don't know how their signal used to come now.
Where is the ID card? They should have done this. Go short this thing. We won't go. No, I'm
Shut your.
I think say
Wait.
where the major switch is. Shut it.
Wait.
Okay.
You don't shut this.
The mask not work now. You know work? I don't see. I don't even try and when you see this camera off. Okay. I don't even see any direction.
Use our
shut down for you. You want shut down manually? Since you know shut down, I think say they shut down. But since you know say this
the
thing
best
no
thing is
work,
just to off the switch. See, just to off this switch, everything will go down.
No, that should shut everything down. You go shut down
from here before off the switch. Okay.
You go off with the direct, you'll be like say mixer is the last one.
It's the last one.
If it's on it,
on
you
it,
start
start
with the mixer.
Then this off this monitor. There's monitor, okay? Enter there off the monitor from the power switch down. Remove the
But the update for you, just update for the direct control. All these things with the update, done. No card. I know they done. Once I off the this thing. Okay. So you will check this thing tomorrow. Or you go with it and check it.
The mouse.
Or the battery. I'll bring battery come. For the tractor.
She's doing this because we're looking here now. She just leave you.
No, you can stay here because these guys will come and pick their laptops. If you they come and let me know. Man follow a man know where we do the other. Okay.
So we'll go check.
And see you want to make two of us good together. I don't know when they give on that $100.
No, kill me. You
forget say camera now we dey control.
Oh yeah, nah. Yeah. All right.
Now? Okay. You know, you know, architecture.
No. This thing, they don't want that.
They lower it. So, if you guys are done, not surprised. Okay.
I don't know whether the guy is more just shut them down for them because they're already offline.
Stop streaming.
Stream. Wait. Thank you. You don't stop on that?
I never stop. Now the live feed don't go.
From this broadcast, you can stop it from there. Stop that broadcast.